in response to a advertisement, I guess, slash not really a question, but more like a accusation that what I'm speaking about, what I'm into, has already been decoded, and they were saying that essentially time and money is now separate, based upon, I guess, one of my videos where I was talking about time and money, and I would say that that is definitely up under an annuity because we've already cracked the code on that. Like, that's based on the number 85 from what I've studied, based on seconds. And in order for someone to say that time and money is separate, one thing would have to happen based upon banks and annuities and sports. And you would have to go in the national. They're trying to do it now in the American leagues. You would have to go at least 87 days straight with no annuity in any type of single scoring sport to even get that type of claim off, because those scores are bank accounts, even though they may be looked at as contests while it's going on. But once it goes into what's called record, they turn into what's called a bank account. So then from there, you would have to say that essentially you out-visit the record. And if you've out-visit the record, that means you've out-visit the computer. So this is where the annuity comes in. When I speak about the annuity, and the annuity comes in, which proves that the day is still the order of the day. Like that basically essentially money and time is still on the same scale, because that's where the annuity comes in at. Now the annuities are slowing down, and that's what they're trying to do, is catch up to the 20th century. Really, they don't want annuities to drop. And what he was saying is true. They do want to separate time and money, and it will happen, but it has not happened, and it takes a very high astute mind. So just wanted to add in my 2 cents, but I do agree with the information in the lecture that the brother was presenting in regards to as far as separating that, though. But there's problems in that, and that's based upon the calendars too, and how you count time, because when time got put onto the computer, it switched as well. I mean, you got to think, at one time, time was based upon counting in London, the clocks starting in London when they were on the old scale, and they would start counting from London. A lot of people don't realize that the master count was in London. Very important, of which London had certain landlocks and various lands that held that master time. That's when you talk about the clock, as far as the hands, the old clock, not the digital clock, but what they would call, I guess, the analog clock. So that's important too. So you would have to break that spell, and then you would go into the digital clock for one to say that time and money has now been separate and that's been mastered. And that's going into trinary code, of which I do want to do a lot more research and study on and videos on, because I do think the method of what trinary code is trying to do is the only gateway. And here's where it's kind of funny at, because though what he's saying is not 100%, hasn't been 100% decoded yet, what he's saying is something that's very important that needs to happen. And time does need to be separated from money, and the method of which we're measuring time needs to be cracked, so that we can get into this new calendar and update this new information and stuff like that we have, and make it into this new realm and phase. But we have to crack the code on what happened when time got onto the computer, which we were duped, because that is what we think it was a 19th century phenomenon, was really going all the way back to possibly the 1700s. We'll talk more about that in the future. Namaste.